Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Bite-Sized Beliefs. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about missionaries and the differences between missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the missionaries in the evangelical church in the Bible. To an LDS missionary, their missionary work is a part-time occupation, and most will go on a mission in their lifetime where they commit themselves to 2 years of sharing their message on the mission field. This mission is usually a once-in-a-lifetime event, sometimes two, that occurs when the missionary is under 25 years old or retired. The main goal of these missions is obviously to spread the LDS message around the world, but there is also a secondary goal that consists of a character development and bonding to the church, having been exposed to the doctrine for a whole 2 years. The Bible, however, paints a picture of missions that is different from an LDS view, in that missions work is a lifetime purpose of a believer rather than a one-time event. A good theology of missions starts in the Old Testament, as God is seen disinheriting the nations due to their sinful actions at the Tower of Babel, according to Moses' commentary on the events in Deuteronomy 32, where he says, "When the Most High apportioned the nations at his dividing up the sons of humankind, he fixed the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the sons of God. For Yahweh's portion was his people, and Jacob the share of his inheritance." These nations are now under the dominion of other powers that do not have their best interests in mind. But God does not totally abandon the nations, as he chooses Israel as the first missionaries that are supposed to bless the nations and bring them back to God. Israel fails this task, however, as the Old Testament ends with them actually being taken over by the nations rather than blessing them. But then comes the New Testament, and Jesus telling his disciples that actually, he is the one with the authority now, through his defeating of death on the cross. In Matthew 28, he commissions his disciples to actually go out and make disciples of all the nations once again. And Jesus approached them and said to them, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit." In the book of Acts, we see further that Jesus equips his followers with the Holy Spirit in order to do the work and fulfill the purpose of making disciples all over the earth. There's a lot of similarities with this event, known as Pentecost, and the Tower of Babel. At the Tower of Babel, the people from all nations gathered in one place and tried to reach the heavens. God then confused their language and scattered them. At Pentecost, people from all the nations gathered in one place, and a wind came down from heaven, making all of their languages understandable to each other. There is then another sending out to all the nations in order to reclaim them. This event is profound in that it represents a reversal of the events of the Tower of Babel. God is sending out his followers to reclaim the nations and bring everyone under his rule. We are now living in a time where Jesus has already claimed eternal victory, but there are still other powers ruling this world, which are referenced by Paul multiple times in his letters. This is where we as Christians are invited into God's story of redemption as missionaries. Our role on earth then, as a Christian and a follower of Christ, is to make disciples and commit our lives to missions. By doing this, we are becoming part of God's overarching plan to redeem this entire world to himself and defeat the powers of darkness once and for all. This doesn't mean that everyone has to go on serve a mission in a foreign country or place, but it does mean that everyone who claims to be a Christ follower must be committed to mission work wherever they are in their life. This means that the job of a Christian missionary is a description that can apply to all Christians and is a position for a lifetime of service and ministry in God's kingdom. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for further episodes.